Recently, a PA sent out a scathing email to her author's ARC readers. Was it warranted or not? My name is Taylor Rose, and welcome back to my channel where we talk about everything reading and writing. On Threads, Live by the Moon 7 posted, "Authors and PAs thinking their behavior like this is okay. I'm disgusted, and I haven't even been a part of this team for close to a year now." So Live by the Moon 7 received an email from an ARC team that she had previously been a part of, but no longer was participating in. And the email is as follows. Sarah Klinger says, "Hello team, I am not a happy camper because I'm having to write this email. If you received an arc of Mask in the Magnolia and you reviewed it under 3 stars without telling me of any issues you found, that is not how this team works. If you said there was no POV in your arc and didn't tell me, why the hell didn't you?" Busting out the cap locks early. "If you had questions about triggers in the arc, why didn't you message me? If you read this book on KU or had purchased it and then left a review and saw issues again, why the F did you not tell us? This is part of being on this ARC team and something you agreed to when you applied. POV was a discussion in many reviews, and when we pull the file that was uploaded, we see POVs. If they are missing from the ARC file, that file is not the final file. If you did send me errors or message me with questions, thank you." And people were not happy about this email. Kat Bray says, "Sweet soul, my butt." This was in response to someone saying, "Oh, but Sarah's such a sweet soul. She was probably just really frustrated." I'm sure she was just a little pissed off. The arcs were released the same day as the book was published. One person left a review under 3 stars explaining what the issues were. It wasn't before release. And nothing justifies the way she spoke to the ARC team. Nothing. Not being a little pissed off. Nothing. Matto Raptor says, "The arcs were sent on release day, so she wasn't able to give the readers time to let her know there were issues before release." So, and this was in response to Taylora's post. "I made a thread just to respond to this. Not only is this about my review, but I was also booted from the group and the ARC team for my review. I was not messaged or talked to. I would have removed my review had I been asked to. Here's why feedback wasn't provided. She sent the ARC the same day the book released. I assumed I had a finished copy. There wasn't an email or statement made, so I honestly just reviewed it because I assumed it was ready for review." So you can see here, they took this screenshot off Amazon, publication date July 11th. And then here's her email from BookFunnel. "Here's your review copy of Mask in the Magnolia," from the same day, July 11th. ARC readers got the book the same day that anyone could purchase it. Taylora continues, "I review so many books and I have not reviewed for this author since December 2024. I forgot that there is the apparent expectation that less than 3 stars you wait to review. I typically get an email or something reminding the expectation of the team. I literally woke up and the book was in my email, but I'm not going to be bullied because of a review. I actually didn't even review the book on Amazon because I know Amazon is a big deal and I didn't want to drag the author down. I am beyond disgusted at this email. Bullying your team into only doing favorable reviews is insane. I couldn't figure out why my review was blowing up until someone shared this drama. I'm just a reader. I didn't degrade you or attack you as an author. But you send this nasty email making sure I couldn't see it. You literally have no idea what my life is like, and yet you bully someone who chose to volunteer for an author she typically reads. I'll never read another book by A.K. Graves, and I can promise you that. Allowing your PA to send this nasty email, probably shitting on me behind the scenes, and gods know what else. That's not who I want to support. All you had to do is message me and remind me of the expectations or verify why my arc was supposedly flawed, but you didn't. You treated me like I was inferior, and I'm glad people were suddenly supporting me because WTF is wrong with you. Thank you for all of the support and kind messages. I truly don't know how to use threads. So I figured I'd send a big dose of love to you all right here." That is so sad. Tammy LeBruck says, "LOL, if she sent ARCs on release day, she was writing up to the second she hit publish. No chance in hell that thing was even proofread, let alone edited." She has a point. Katharina Mara says, "This is awful. That PA just completely tarnished their author's reputation and actively harmed her readership. This is exactly why you need to vet everyone you hire. A lot of people want to work in the publishing industry, and many of them are neither qualified to do it nor suited to it." JD Sefer writes, says, "I have an entire degree for creative writing with a background in publishing from school because I wanted to earn it. I can't get a job in publishing at all right now, and these people here without any kind of professionalism at all are getting jobs left and right. Nicole Leanne M. Reeds posted this screenshot from Facebook where the PA posted a quote-unquote apology. Sarah Klinger says, I have been running my ARC team in the same way for long enough that most people know not to take offense. However, that was not the case today, and I offended an ARC team that I'm responsible for. I want to apologize, but I am used to a world where people talk to each other instead of running to the chat to discuss. Okay, running to the chat? The private chat for the ARC team? Or what chat? What chat? You're mad they went to social media. That is different than a chat group. With the way social media is being used, it's harder to apologize and rectify a mistake. I'm sorry for how my email was received and for the way it was said. Brit is a brat says, what in the not even an apology? Let me make myself the victim. Fuckery is that. Nicole Leanne says, it also isn't public. You have to be friends with her to see it. Girl. The way social media is, it's hard to make an apology. Therefore, it's private. Friends only. Therefore, it's private. Friends only. That's not how. You know. There are other things you can do. Nicole Leanne came back later and said that the author responded. So the author posted an apology for her PA. Greaves says, I owe my readers and the community we share an apology. I've been trying to find the right words to convey how genuinely sorry I am. The last 5 years, I've tried very hard to build a name and brand I could be proud of. I've always tried to treat everyone with the dignity and respect they deserve, and I thought I had done that until today. I'm not proud of what happened today. My team, my PA, they are an extension of who I am, a reflection of how I conduct myself. They represent my brand and what I've built the same way I do. The incident today is one that contradicts everything I stand for, and I'm sorry for that. To the people who've been kind enough to take the time to read my books and support me because they choose to, you didn't deserve to be treated this way, and I'm sorry you were. I would never have allowed something like this to happen if I had knowledge of it beforehand to anyone within my circle or outside of it. And delegating management tasks so I don't have to be involved doesn't mean I condone anything about what took place today. I do not and never will. That's not how I have ever or will ever conduct myself or speak to anyone, but that's not what this is about. This is about the extremely negative and unprofessional email that was sent to members of my ARC team, past and present, and how incredibly sorry I am for it. Whether directly from my hand or not, I am responsible for that email the same way I'm responsible for the way my team or PA represents me. Today, I failed the people I am most grateful for, and I am truly sorry. I'm sorry for the words that were written and the way in which they were used, and that something like this happened to you at all. To everyone who was offended, appalled, and hurt by the behavior demonstrated today, I am truly sorry. Today was a lesson learned the hard way, one I'm sorry took place, but I promise I'm learning from. I will be taking back full control of my teams and restructuring who has access to them. I will change how I do things and how involved I am in the future. I will do better, and I will try harder to keep my spaces safe for everyone. I'll be taking a break from social media for an undetermined amount of time so I can continue to regroup and reflect on what I need to do in order to hold those things to the best of my ability. You deserve better, and I'm sorry that's not how you were treated, and I will make sure nothing like this happens again. Posey Knight Reads responded to this apology, to the screenshots of this apology, saying one of her other authors made a statement too, but it was backpedaling from when she was agreeing earlier. But that post is gone now. Screenshots are forever though. And Nicole says, oh, like these? So DL Butts says, OMG, a book review is on the story, not the author. Jen Bullard responds, and the POVs are there. DL says, yep, they are. And then Nicole responds to Jen and says, POV is definitely not in the ARC copy. Would I review based off of that? No. I'd reach out, but also don't gaslight people. Jen posts on Facebook, imagine telling an author that she doesn't have any POV separation in her books because you're not paying attention to the chapters and then writing a review about it. The POVs are clearly written, but this author uses fun chapter names that go along with her books instead of chapter blah and POV. You can see in the published copy that the POV name did make it, but it did not make it into the ARC, which is what the ARC viewers are using to review, because that's what they were given. Sarah Klinger did end up publishing a more public apology. This was in a reverse harem addiction group. By now, most people are aware of the situation, unless you've been living under a rock. Again, starting off with like flippant language towards your readers. And while it would be easier to stay silent, I'm choosing to speak up and own my part in what's unfolded. Own your part? It was all you, girl. Okay. I sent an email. Could it have been worded differently? Absolutely. The language I used was harsh, and the profanity unnecessary and inappropriate. I take full ownership of that. It was a poor choice, and I sincerely regret the way it was communicated. I issued an apology afterward, but I'll be honest, it fell short. My words didn't express what I truly meant. I acknowledge that. And I'm not here to make excuses, I'm here to make it right. I come to you humbly, fully aware of my mistakes, and I'm asking for a second chance, not to erase what's happened, but to grow from it. I'm human, I made a mistake, and I believe that's how we handle our missteps speaks volumes about who we are. Since everything that happened, I've stepped back from social media, not just to reflect, but because of the wave of negativity that has been overwhelming. The comments, the threats, the messages telling me to harm myself, none of that is okay. Yes, I made a mistake, but cruelty doesn't lead to accountability, it only causes more harm. To those who have reached out to me, not to condone my actions, but to hear me out, to check in on my mental health, and to offer space for growth, just know that I see you, I thank you. You don't have to agree with what I did to show compassion, and that's all I'm asking for now. Compassion. Compassion to allow growth, compassion to acknowledge the toll this has taken, not just on me, but on those connected to me who had no part in this. If you made it this far, thank you for reading. If you feel moved to reach out or have a respectful conversation, I welcome it. I'm committed to learning, doing better, and being better. But to those connected to me who had no part in this, you are acting in a professional capacity for your job. Of course, your employer is being implicated in this situation. You didn't send this from your private email to random people. Like, you sent this as a function of your employment. Don't be surprised that people connected to me got involved. Well, it turns out that these authors were participating in a flood charity anthology in response to the floods that happened in Texas a few weeks ago. Denise says, did people actually drop out of the anthology itself over that BS? Author Birdie says, I was wondering that. We all make mistakes and say things out of frustration. Sarah responded, I think close to 20 have left. Denise says, their feelings were that precious that helping people who lost everything, including family, wasn't important enough to suck it up. Wow, that says a lot about what kind of humans they are. Jessica says, I feel bad for them. Should they be judged by a bad day? Sarah says, I don't know why, but I smiled hard and laughed at this because it's true and that's what went through my head. Denise, watching karma unfold, like, okay. Like, I understand acting poorly because you had a bad day, but when you do so in a professional context, that is inappropriate. And being in a bad mood isn't a reason to abuse others either. And I'm not really sure watching karma unfold, like, what is the implication here? And this person responded, I stayed quiet. I said my piece on your post, but I come to get caught up on messages, and here you are talking shit about the authors that removed themselves from your project. And normally I would mind my business and not say anything, but my author was one of those authors that left from your actions. Why apologize if it's clear you didn't mean it? Yeah, you can't apologize and then go and laugh in the back room with your friends about how dumb everyone else is. That's not a genuine apology. And you shouldn't be surprised now when no one accepts it. Emily Klepp, author, says this, I removed myself from that antho because her behavior was nasty, but then she goes and encourages people to talk shit. No, thank you. Or no, that's gross. Jay Berry, author, says, I left the project after her behavior came to light, and now I'm glad I did. Shake my head. Author Lyra Kruger says, this is why I left the anthro. Her behavior is nasty. Katie Perez, author, says, hey, if you would just apologize because your actions were getting you death threats, so you promised to do better, maybe don't jump into a group chat shit-talking people because of your actions. I have chosen not to work with you anymore. Like your second apology that was supposed to get you a second chance to do better, and you immediately returned to your unprofessional and downright rude behavior. Author DM Simmons says, this is just not okay. Taking accountability for your actions, i.e. sending a scathing email at readers addressing them like they are toddlers, means making an apology and honoring it, not turning around and talking shit about said situation in a group chat. Not that the apology was one to begin with, the whole sorry you took it wrong was absolute crap. This is just so bad. Maybe it's Marigold says, why are they also okay with her being like this? I just don't understand. Nikki Reads the Smut says, because at the end of the day, mean girl cliques are everywhere. Yep. And while I guess you could argue that, like, she said this in confidence in a group chat, you know, clearly this was a group chat with a large number of people not even related to the situation. I don't know. I cannot imagine doing something like that for my job and then being surprised that there's blowback. I don't know. Not to mention, as we discussed in the previous video about ARC readers being told not to post, you know, as we discussed in one of my previous videos about ARC readers, manipulating reviews like this by having people not post them until later is, again, against FTC guidelines. So not only did she impact her own reputation, she's also impacting her authors, apparently, that she works for's reputations. And could even get them permanently banned from sites like Amazon. I guess she just doesn't know that she could be having this sort of impact on, like, not only her income, but other people's incomes. Well, that's all I have for you today. I will see you next time.